Happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary. They sing it like the restaurants. So June 15th of 2024 marks our second year Patreon. The body of work is quite a bit. A lot. If you combine what's on YouTube as well as Patreon, you look at over 2,500 posts in 2 years. 1,250-ish a year. That's a lot. Trying to get as much out as possible. Systems to help my brother Rex. Look at the fruit of it. The other people blessed is a byproduct I didn't see coming. The other camps who came and went, byproduct I didn't see coming. Trying to help them, leading from the front, from example, to break out of paradigms, to identify the real enemy. Pipe smoke, propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego. That's what I've been shooting at. They're like, oh, you're talking about me. Well, then I am. But if you're smoking on that Babylonian crack pipe, of your choices, of your brands, of you operating outside your scope lane or licensure. Oh, yeah. Oh. The fake experts. I'm not a fan of that. I've never wanted to be in a band. Not once in my life. I know what it's like to lip sync. Do you even know the flowers, man? I was a soldier. I'm still at the point in my life where I've was a soldier or interacting with the Army, teaching, longer than I've not been, if that makes sense. It's just like, I've been married to Mrs. Saw longer than I've not been married to her. So the ratio still is, I've been cutting my ties with Uncle Sugar as much as I can. But that's the other side of my business you guys don't see. Sometimes that's all to keep the lights on here because there's so few of you here. You can look at the amount of comments. Look at the pinned welcome post introduction. How few people QSL'd and who didn't QSL it. That means they saw it and they let me know. They acknowledged the fact. And you see the omission of people who didn't want to follow the rules and introductions, didn't QSL it. That's an indicator right off the bat. Because then they start blabbing. I'm like, that's been posted pinned here for a couple years. I'm like, no, I'm not going to put up with it. And the only thing is just a paywall to see it. And I'm like, listen, this is a classroom. If you didn't acknowledge the initial transmission of the proper way to behave in my classroom, then you weren't studying under me. So don't think you can grab my systems and teach them. Do you even know the flowers? You see the triangle? Wow, isn't that awesome? Lessons from a flower and flowers. And so, happy anniversary. Thank you all who have been faithful who are here. I am blessed. We are blessed. Mrs. Saw and I are blessed to be able to be a pass-through of what he has blessed us with. And it is life and life more abundantly. It is not a Jerry Springer show at Saw Camp. It is not. It's not. It's partisan permaculture. And see, the fake experts like to take the buzzwords and run with it as opposed to actually developing systems. You're not training soldiers, man. You don't have the resources. I could not make my kids become Green Berets. I didn't have the resources for it. Do you? No. And so people think, check, got it. They give themselves all these titles that are undeserved. Medic, prophet, president, without going through any crucible. Sniper, ranger. They want to speak as an authority on stuff they don't know. Don't do that here. I know what's my lane. I don't operate outside my scope, lane, or licensure. And what you see of me is very minimal. I don't put my whole life on camera. That's why you don't see my face. Because I know this is going to go away. And I do not seek fame. Fame is not my economic engine. It's facts, not feelings. It's facts. I don't care about being famous. I have literally taken most of the posts off of YouTube more than once to reduce the channel's algorithmic, I think it's how you say it, probability of getting huge. You're not going to reach all this. I'm not here for all the people. I'm not even here for people that say they're in the camp because they don't have the basics down. If people aren't willing to learn, if they're not at a certain stage in their growth, I'm not the right person for them. They can't get the basics down, but they want to be a preacher, a teacher, a pastor. When they can't operate in excellence in relationship with their brothers, the basics, they get that wrong all the time. Well, why should they be teaching? White belts shouldn't teach. White belts don't run dojos. It's the fame of the B-Rod, the Babylonian rectangle of death, that's the issue. People let that shit get to their head. And pride happens right before a fall. And you're not immune to it because you're a commander or retired sergeant major, right? The super mag is the husband and wife. That's the basics. That's where it starts. Talking about all the other crap when that's not solid is the priorities upside down. Physician, heal thyself. Well, what does it mean to be an elder? A husband of what? One wife? What's the biblical definition? What is the biblical definition of a leader that Jethro laid out for Moshe? You have to be a capable man. Mrs. Saw, she's like, I remember what it was. We watched something. She's like, I hate weak men. I go, what? Because it was something with some action movie. And like one of the guys that was like a security guard was like cowering. And she's like, oh, it disgusts me. It's so funny. She's like, I hate weak men. And she's intersected with people from, other camps, other places. Like, I don't feel safe around that guy. I go, what do you mean? She's like, I feel like I'd have to rescue him. Well, that's terrible. She's a grandma, right? The nerf ruckers, the posers. Yeah, the guys who can't IMT but want to talk about Ranger shit. The guys that shoot the hostage. Yeah, them, the fake experts. No, they're not welcome in Saw Camp. Why? They haven't been over for dinner. They're not going to be over for dinner until they change their ways, until they grow up. Don't operate outside your scope, lane, or licensure. It's simple. It rubs people the wrong way because they are faking and they've been caught in their lies. You get caught in your lies, you get caught in your lies, man. Extreme ownership. Own it. Fix it. Are you really fixing it? You refuse to fix it because you're still using Babylonian systems. They're not, if you're using Babylonian systems to that degree, you're not supposed to be here. Go back to Babylon. We don't want insider threats here. What do I mean by that? I'm like, listen, man. There's stuff that is righteous and just in his book. A capable man who loves the truth, who loves Elohim, who loves God, and hates what? Someone who put their bullshit out in the light, or hates ill-gotten gain? Ill-gotten gain is where the hate should be appropriately placed, according to the leadership principles laid out in the Torah. Oh, there's a reason why it's in the first 5 books. What? Because see, the other people will take it, well, he was a priest. You don't even know what that means. The fact is, it's in the book, and Moshe implemented it. Because the system he was trying to do, doing it all himself, isn't going to work. Oh. You see the early selection process of being a leader. I'm not a fan of leaderless resistance. Quite the opposite. I'm a fan of leaderful resistance. And I'm not playing the semantic game. That's one of the lessons I learned from Ranger Battalion. And they drill that into your head in the Ranger Creed. Though I be the lone survivor, Rangers lead the way. Why is that in the Ranger Creed? They would do it all the time in exercises where we would go to the observer controllers, OCs, would ants. The observer controllers would kill off all the leaders. That means tab D4s and above, to where it was down to privates. I remember there was 3 or 4 saw gunners. I was a saw gunner at the time. M249 saw Mini-Me. Reason why named saw, by the way. Layers upon layers. And we completed the mission. Because you always read the mission statement twice, so everyone gets it. So even down to the lowest dude, we'll drive on to the Ranger objective and complete the mission, though I be what? The lone survivor. Not a Navy SEAL was caught with his pants down. Well, whatever. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know the whole story. But I can tell you the mentality of leaderful resistance, that imprinting at an early age as a Ranger. When I went to Ranger school, I went late for a Ranger because I got hurt. And so I had to compete to get up there because I couldn't run as fast as everyone else, although I was fast. The standards were higher, imagine that. And most of my, if you want to call them peers, in Ranger school were ring knockers. That means they were West Point graduates. I can tell you, with my experience of 18 months in Ranger Battalion, doing the job of a Ranger over and over again, they were not my peers. They way outranked me, but they were not my peers. Not even close. I had a year and a half of reps and sets, basically. Well, closer to a year in Ranger Battalion, because it takes about 6 months to go through all the other stuff at that time. The amount of reps and sets with raids, with ambushes, with reconnaissance, with op orders, it was with patrolling, because back then we did a lot of patrolling. We went from patrolling, airfield seizure, patrolling, and then CQB focus started to shift during my era. I had the reps and sets above those officers. These are lieutenants. And I was E3, E4 by the time I got out, right? Of that training cycle. Because I was in Ranger School for a long time. I was there for 100 days, at least, from what I can tell. Because I recycled Darby and Desert. I dislocated my shoulder on the Darby Queen on the first obstacle, the dirty name. Completed it. And then they recycled me 2 days before we'd move on to the next phase. Then Desert, it was called See No Mountains. And if you were a bat boy, that meant if you had a scroll, and they take your patches off, but you can still see where the holes were, right? And every single bat boy got recycled because the ranger instructors of that company, none of them were from Ranger Battalion. And they would always get miffed because rangers would say you're not a real ranger if you weren't from real Ranger Battalion. Pride and ego thing, man. Pride and ego. See, I'm very familiar. What are you rolling in? Happy puppy. What do you got there? What are you rolling in? See how high that is? So I understand it. Through harder impact, leaderful resistance. Trying to create leaders. I know what's missing is leaders, men being leaders. Because they weren't raised to, or they were latchkey kids, or had shitty dads, or whatever, right? The leadership principles in the book are sound. First, to be a capable man. We'll write that down, what that means to you. You can put that in the comments. What's a capable man? What do you think it's saying in the Bible? What's a capable man? What standards? Right? Capable man. Do you love truth, or do you use lies, guerrilla marketing to steal from others, right? That would be what? Not true. And it would also be what? Ill-gotten gain. These are basic standards. They will talk about the basics, but they don't do the basics. They don't see silver side up, the silver dollar philosophy. I want silver dollars and gold bars. I don't want fake fiat currency. I don't give two shits about quarters, unless they're pre-64. And so, you know, what's the quality? What's the purity? Quality over quantity is a soft truth, right? Well, that's what they say. Doesn't mean it's perfect. Does not mean it's perfect. Z! You better be running. Airplane. Good boy. Good boy. So happy anniversary. Here you will find the Boar Farmer Triangle, Brothers Operate Excellence in Relationships. You'll see layer upon layer, precept upon precept. First 90 days MPTLs are critical for foundation. You wouldn't open a book or just stumble into a college class and start running your mouth, would you? There's collegiate level training here at every tier, at a minimum. And so you need the dwell time to understand my methodologies of teaching, visual, auditory, repetition, kinesthetic. There's actual science in the programs here, the program of instruction. The enemy is pipe smoke, propaganda, inactivity, pride, and ego. And if that sounds like someone you know, well, is it true? Is my question. Is it you? Is my question. Because if it burns your ears, it's probably you. You probably have a portion of that, right? Good training hurts. I was so sore this morning when I woke up. I've done like 3 to 4 hard days before Shabbat. And my bones, everything just hurt. And the weather change. I've been walking around for a couple hours just to warm up. So you have to, you know, if it's new, or if, you know, you guys stretch those muscles out, give it the time. If you haven't been through the first 30-day MPTLs, use the MPTL tag. That's monthly progress tracking logs or training logs to help you. And it shows, it's color-coded by tier. Some stuff's on YouTube, some stuff's here. It might not be on YouTube anymore, I don't know. But what you will find is the tags, there's over 400 tags, so you can see the connections of the lessons. This is a very complex but simple system. It's connected. his Hebraic Asiatic levels of understanding, using advanced teaching techniques like a mistake-based anchoring, bamboo, so you're not bamboozled, understanding what propaganda is versus news versus intelligence, from someone who did stuff for a living. That's what's here. It's a potpourri of education of the lessons I've learned from homesteading, from raising kids, ascending to grandpa status, having multiple homesteads, having to develop sustainable systems because hitting it harder impact with being gone a lot because of my service, being around the real masters in martial arts as well as permaculture, real shepherds, not fake ones. Not fake ones. Real. It's proximity. You'll see, is this Fight Mine actually Introduction to Filipino Martial Arts? The same acronym can be used in multiple ways. The spear system with standoff being the first S, and relationship being the R. Going back to Brothers Operating Excellence, relationships. You must invest in your relationship with me in order to see which way I'm coming from. You may hear something and fill in the blank with your 93% because you don't remember where you are. You're in my classroom. It's just like you stumbled into a college class in physics for the first time and you're like, what are the terms they're using? Dude, this is year 2, year 3's coming up, right? So that's what I saw. The issue with the social media platform is not something that is easily searchable. You can go with descending oldest to first with posts and go through. I can tell you, you may not get the entire lesson because you're not at the highest level, because it builds. The daily posts and the weekly posts are connected because I use a program of instruction, a POI, that has positive reps and sets and anchor points in order to cement the lesson in people's heads. If you can't do the 4 pillars of communication, acknowledging that you got it, using a logging, that's what snipers really do, at the most basic of levels, you're fooling yourself if you think you have the time or resources to do it for real. I came up with partisan permaculture because of our homestead logs. I'm finding out what works and what doesn't work. Over a decade of raising sheep with no shots, no hormones, right? Not off of sweet feed, not off of importing hay. Only minimal. As a reward, as a training thing. And then learning, trying to push something out of its zone like Z. He's not a puppy, he's 4-ish, maybe. He's a great hunting dog, not a good shepherding dog. That's why I have Shepweilers. Different temperament, the multi-purpose farm dog that works for a 90%, that are strong enough to pull my butt up off a cliff. So every single animal is analyzed. The terrain, the area assessment, the area study before we even move. 5 years plus of searching. Yeah, well, for a reason. For a reason. So happy anniversary. Those of you that are new here, it's a system, it's a classroom. It's not your typical social media bandwagon. Read the introduction, look at the rules. Shema here, comprehend, understand, execute the rules, or you'll be asked to leave. We have limited bandwidth, right? And it's quality over quantity, and there's gold in the comments put there by students who have been doing the systems for now 2 years. So you might want to listen when they speak up too. Carry rucksacks, not feelings bags. Welcome and happy anniversary. I'll see you all soon. Shalom.